So there's repercussions. The case according to certain beliefs, this has to be this way, this can't be this way, can't be that way. So it weakens the discipline, weakens the structure. If it weakens the structure, so everybody's got to be nice. Everyone's got to be treated equal. That's fine, but you get kids going to school, and if you talk down all the sports and all the things, we're just going to do intelligent things. There's not going to be any competitive sports. You're making someone less prepared, Saturn, for dealing with the realities of life. Because sooner or later, there'll be two girls and one boy, two boys, one girl, and someone's going to get hurt. And their defenses will weaken. But it hits a whole year or two, a group of people being born on the planet, across countries, across places, will all have this around the same time. And for them, responsibilities will not be what they've seen. The relationship to authority will not be what they've seen. So it's going to be hard for governments to direct, or schools or structures to direct proper responsibility. Those will usually weaken at the expense of new things, which will last for a while. And eventually, the lacks that come in will force the order to come back. So, but when you're dealing with the other planets, these are long-term things. When you're seeing in a person's chart, it just means that generation. These are all generational factors: Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Saturn. This group was exciting, unstable, didn't want to fit in. This group, overly dreamy, and a little bit less ambitious. More socially conscious. And when you get to Pluto, Pluto is the harsh reality. What's true or what not? Is it real or is it not? It's the confrontation around authority. It's the Auditor General. Is there a God or isn't there? What's real? I mean, how the world says, like with Pluto, there's a harshness, there's a confrontation. So when it's on Saturn, it creates a severity. So I have Saturn-Pluto conjunct. That was the end of the Second World War. That was the building of Israel, Kuwait, and Yugoslavia, the three countries that are still the unstable factors in the world. Thinking it was the solution of the war, but the authority didn't want war anymore. It changed, but the Pluto on Saturn was very severe at that time. So giving Israel its own country meant Palestinians had to be the slaves, so the servants, or the persecuted ones. Dividing Yugoslavia, which was four or five different countries and languages, into one place, worked for a while. It's just, Pluto is reality of what's fair, what's not. It can bring in wars. It brings in a harsh sense of authority. I grew up always afraid of my dad. He'd always knock me around. I mean, some of the knocking around stopped when he gave me a concussion that threw me in the hospital, and I was having brain reactions and really was having knowledge knocked into me. But he stopped when they started questioning what he was doing. So there's severity and fear and authority with Saturn. If you have to do it, you have to do it. So when I'm against injustice, I have to fight it, and there's someone's going to fight me. If I'm either fighting it, or when I'm doing something myself, I'm so severe and I'm doing it too rigid, I drive myself too hard. And when I try and work with other people, I expect too much of them. And I'm too severe to work with somebody. So I work on my own. But the Pluto and Saturn adds this harshness to any of the outer planets, to inner planets, has a potential of some abuse going on in a young kid's life. But I wouldn't necessarily say Saturn, Pluto, the whole generation has this toughness or this fear from their parents. But if it hits the moon or hits something else, then you start to see how this harshness starts to add stress on a personal element, and it's more extreme. So these outer planet aspects to Saturn, to the inner planets, we'll get to them starting next week, but they're more extreme factors. So right now, looking from Saturn, they're destabilizers. There's shocks to the Saturn, shocks to the responsibilities. There are temptations or twists or confusions or evasions or temptations that weaken the responsibility, take you beyond them, or dissolve it a little bit. Or there are confrontations that really attack your responsibility to see if you're going to fail or succeed. So the Pluto has the fear, Neptune has the belief or the faith, and Uranus has the excitement and the excitement and the aliveness of that excitement. And Saturn's just saying, wait a second here. So they come up, but they don't last as long. They come up for great extremes, but when they're in your chart, you have them for your life. And it sets up much of your social conditions about the extremes of it. You're still trying to work your Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn to get it working. But these other planets, they're puzzles. And we want them at some times, but there's going to be a cost. So as an astrologer, you have to work to see the cost with a potential problem and how to work Saturn to make it accumulate in some works and some maturity and some responsibility and some respect. So some people's charts I see, and they got all the Saturn, Uranus, Pluto aspects, Neptune aspects all prevalent. And you know they're going to have trouble around commitments, around relationships, or finding a job, or fitting in a normal situation. Fortunately, there's all counterculture and underworld that has just as many different alternative options to the responsible options. Like there's codes and there's structures and rules, even the gangs. So really, what have you done with your life, Mars? How far have you reached beyond where you could? Have you done extra things? Mars, Jupiter. Have you accomplished anything from that? Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And yeah, I was going for this, but this happened, or this happened, changed, and there was a war, this happened, the jobs changed, whatever, like things happen from outside. So I wouldn't work. I noticed the Uranus Saturn, your Neptune Saturn, and Pluto Saturn aspects, but I don't read into them. That's a whole generation. More than it's one person, it's a whole group of people. I mean, marketing teams are people programming for the world. They're trying to reach younger groups to get younger voters or younger whatever. They're going to work with these cycles, but they're not so much personal factors. They're like the social collective unconscious and its karma as it affects us. So with Saturn, you're trying to be defensive, be responsible. If you're going to have this, you're going to have that. You got to work to do it. You got to. It's going to mean you got extra work to keep that going, and you may or may not be able to do that. But that puzzle is probably better for you than working in a place that's totally fixed and there's no room for growth or anything. Whereas for some people, that's exactly what they want. They want the job that's steady. They bring up their kids. They get their pension. They got their, and there's their planned life. Probably the majority of people want that. But not all of the people, not all of the time. So yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. We're coming around to each planet, separate Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, coming along and seeing how it works. We're doing Uranus next week. So we'll revisit these in strong ways. I just want to look at as it's looking at Saturn affecting it and how to look critically at it and trying to see it there and trying to observe where is this coming in the person's life. You know it's there. How come I can't see what's happening? What are you doing? You ask some questions. You get the feedback and suddenly you say, oh, it's that. Then you're trying to figure out how to work it. And that's why I say the Saturn is the defensive one that's trying to get the rational, the practical order of things. Okay, leave it here. And thank you. And I'll see you next week. And we'll deal with Uranus. Okay, bye-bye.